Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to make a malt loaf with one little caveat, but I'll explain that in a little bit. But what I'm going to do first is I've got my oven already preheating to 180 degrees Celsius or 355 degrees Fahrenheit. And then today's recipe calls for self-raising or self-rising flour. So I have sifted my self-rising flour with my salt, my pinch of salt. I'm going to pour it in my bowl. Okay. And then it says to make a well in the center. I'm going to get a well in the center. And then I'm going to add my melted butter. So there was 75 grams of butter. I went ahead and had that already melted because who wants to watch butter melt? And I'm going to add that to my flour. And then we need to add in the eggs. So I've got 2 eggs, which I've already gotten to room temperature. So I'm just going to crack those and add them. All right. Oven's ready. Okay, so I've got butter, flour, salt, eggs. Now, here's the caveat. Malt extract is apparently not something you can find in the States anywhere. Like, I've looked high and low. I don't know how many different grocery stores. But one recipe or one website I found said that molasses is a good substitute in the United States. So that's what I'm going to use. So it's not really a malt loaf. It's more like a molasses loaf. I mean, that's just what we have. I've been struggling with trying to figure out, like, am I making these recipes true to the recipe or if I'm trying to make the American version of them. And I think I'm going more with the American version of them. I mean, I know I ordered the castor sugar, but I can make castor sugar. I just was taking a step out of that for me. Anyway, the website I saw did say to use a 1-to-1 ratio, so 2 tablespoons of malt extract would equal 2 tablespoons of molasses. I hope the websites that I was looking at were correct. So that is what we currently look at. I just used my little cookie dropper or whatever you want to call it instead of trying to figure out how to get molasses off my spoon. Okay. And whisk up gently to break up the eggs. All right. Okay. It definitely has a different look to it, doesn't it? Okay, it just says to break up the eggs, so I'm just going to stop at this point because now I need to add my dried fruit and tea mixture. Now, this is my dried fruit and tea mixture. Now you're like, where did I get that from? Well, I'll tell you right here. Okay, my water is boiling. I'm going to get 300 milliliters of this without scalding myself. I'm going to do it by the sink. Okay, so I've got my 300 milliliters of just boiling water. I do have my English breakfast tea that I am going to let brew for about 4 minutes. And then I will add in my raisins, sultanas, and sugar. Okay, it's been 4 minutes. We now have English breakfast tea water. And so what I'm supposed to do is add my sultanas and raisins and sugar. Now I'm just going to pour this into a different bowl so I have plenty of room for everything. Get the tea bag. Okay. Now, I've got 125 grams of raisins along with 125 grams of sultanas, which are golden raisins. I think sultana sounds cooler, so I'm going to use that for the future. So I'm going to pour those in. And then also 200 grams of dark brown sugar that is soft. All right. Now it wants me to stir this, but it does want me to leave the tea bag in. So there's a reason I've left it in, because it tells me to remove it later. So I'm going to try to not damage the tea bag. But I need to stir this to dissolve the sugar, which the water's pretty hot, so it shouldn't take too long. Okay, that looks dissolved. So now I'm just going to leave this to cool for about 30 minutes. Okay, it's been soaking for 30 minutes and I am ready to take the tea bag out. So it says to squeeze the tea bag to get all of the juice out of there. I don't really want to break the tea bag though, so. Okay. I'm excited. I like tea. I like breakfast tea, Earl Grey tea. So this, I've never used it in a bake, so this will be kind of cool. Okay. So I've got that squeezed in. Now, there are two options here. I can leave this covered for, it says 4 hours, but preferably overnight, so that it can absorb as much of that tea, the raisins and sultanas, as possible. So I'm going to leave it overnight. So that was yesterday. I started this up, and so it's been 24 hours since I got these soaking, and so now I'm ready to add them to my mixture. Now, I'm not supposed to just add the fruit. I'm supposed to add the liquid as well, which is good because there's not very much liquid in here. Okay, now I just got to give this a good stir until combined, and mix, stir. Let's see. I think I've decided I like sultanas, the name of that, way better than golden raisins. I think I said that yesterday, but it just sounds way cooler. People are going to think I'm crazy. Maybe I am. All right. So there's definitely a molasses smell in the air. I like gingerbread cookies with molasses in them, so, and I like raisins. I don't know that I've ever really had sultanas. I mean, I guess they were easy enough to find next to the raisins in our grocery store, but just never really thought about it, I guess. Okay, that looks combined, mixed, all good to go. And now I just need to divide the mixture and equally put them in my lined tins. I did actually go and line my tins this time. See, all nice and lined. Because I made some comments in past videos about why in the world you would grease and then line. Well, it does hold the paper in place, so that does make it easy. Now these are 450 gram loaf tins, which I had to figure out what that was. These are like the 8.5 inch by, 4 inches, 4.5, something like that. The smaller of the standard loaf pans in the States, which luckily enough, I was able to get a hold of some because I didn't have any. And we are just going to divide these up. See how well I can do this. without making a mess, preferably. Okay, those look pretty good. Might have gotten a little bit more in this one. Okay, so now we are ready to go. I've got my 2 loaves, as best as I can tell, equally filled. And my oven's at 355 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's put them in. Now I do need to cook these for 40 minutes, and then they should be done. Okay, my timer just went off, so I'm gonna give them a check. They are perfect. There we go. Those look really good. They smell really good. There's a lot of molasses flavor smell. So now I need to leave them to cool on a wire rack for 5 minutes, and then I'll turn them out to cool completely. Unfortunately, this says that they taste better after 24 hours. So I'm not going to taste them until tomorrow because I want to give you the best taste. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, we waited the 24 hours to taste our malt loaf. So I went ahead and gave it a cut. So I just want to show it to you real fast. All right, there's what it looks like. I put it on freezer paper just so I could lift it up easier. Okay, it's a little dense on the inside from the looks. And some of the fruit seems to have kind of congregated to the bottom. You know, it's heavier, so it's soaked in all that tea. So I already took a slice off, and I buttered half because it does recommend to eat some with butter. So let's give it a try. I'm going to try the non-buttered half first, just to see. I definitely got a raisin. It's good. It's really moist. Yeah, it is dense, but you know, it's a really good flavor. You definitely get the raisins and I don't know, like a smoky flavor. Does that make sense? That's good. Yeah. I could see, you know, I say this a lot too, but like coffee, tea time. We don't really do tea time over here, but we could start it. The butter bite definitely gives it a, I mean, you taste the butter, so that's a nice little extra. But that's really good. It's time intensive. Like, you have to be dedicated for this one. I mean, because you got to soak the raisins the day before and then cook it and then wait a day to eat it. If you like it, awesome, then do it. It doesn't take a whole lot of work, it's just time. But anyway, that is my latest bake from my Love to Bake book. If you enjoyed it, you got this far, subscribe to my channel, okay? Ah, I always miss right there. It's free. If you don't know that, just make a YouTube account and hit subscribe, and it'll let you know when I make a new video. And then, of course, go and watch some of my other videos. There are some really good ones out there. And as always, see you next bake.